Chapter 7 Packing Continued. This chapter, Packing, is taken from the novel Three Men in a Boat, written by Jerome K. Jerome. The story is about the art of packing. The chapter is about a humorous incident which happened when the narrator and his other two friends were packing for a boat trip. The main characters are Jerome K. Jerome, Harris, George, and Montmorency the dog. So in the last class you heard about how it all began. The narrator was going on a trip with his friends, George and Harris. He told them that he would do the packing. They accepted his offer and relaxed while he packed the bag. The narrator's real intention was to supervise his friends in packing. He wanted to teach his friends how to pack. However, they misinterpreted him, and as a result, narrator had to do the packing. The narrator started packing. It took him a bit longer than he had expected. He packed the bag but forgot to put the boots inside. So he had to reopen the bag and put them in. He forgot whether he had put his toothbrush in the bag or not. So he had to open the bag again and empty the contents. He put the contents back in the bag and shaking them one by one and found his toothbrush inside the boot. He had to reopen the bag once again as he had forgotten his spectacles in the bag. Paragraph 7. When I had finished, George asked if the soap was in. I said I didn't care a hang whether the soap was in or whether it wasn't. And I slammed the bag shut and strapped it and found that I had packed my spectacles in it and had to reopen it. It got shut up finally at 10:05 p.m. and then there remained the hampers to do. Harry said that we should be wanting to start in less than 12 hours time and thought that he and George had better do the rest. And I agreed and sat down and they had the go. So when the packing was done again, George asked the narrator whether he had packed the soap or not. The narrator got extremely angry hearing this, as he had already opened and packed the bag a few times. So George and Harris took the task of completing the rest of the packing. They began in a light-hearted spirit, evidently intending to show me how to do it. I made no comment. I only waited. With the exception of George, Harris is the worst packer in this world. And I looked at the piles of plates and cups, and kettles and bottles and jars and pies and stoves, and cakes and tomatoes, etc., and felt that the thing would soon become exciting. It did. They started with the breaking of a cup. That was the first thing they did. They did that just to show you what they could do and to get you interested. Then Harris packed the strawberry jam on top of a tomato and squashed it. And they had to pick out the tomato with a teaspoon. Now this paragraph says about the situation, how or what happened when both George and Harris began packing. So George and Harris committed a lot of mistakes while packing. They broke cups, put things behind them and couldn't find them when they needed them, packed heavy things on top of light things and stepped on things. Paragraph 9. And then it was George's turn. And he trod on the butter. I didn't say anything, but I came over and sat on the edge of the table and watched them. It irritated them more than anything I could have said. I felt that. It made them nervous and excited, and they stepped on things and put things behind them and then couldn't find them when they wanted them. And they packed the pies at the bottom and put heavy things on top and smashed the pies on. They upset salt over everything, and as for the butter, I never saw two men do more with 1 or 2 pence worth of butter in my whole life than they did. After George had got off his slipper, they tried to put it in the kettle. It wouldn't go in, and what was in wouldn't come out. They did scrape it out at last, and put it down on a chair, and Harry sat on it, and it stuck to him, and they went looking for it all over the room. I will take the oath. I put it down on that chair, said George, staring at the empty seat. I saw you do it yourself. I saw you do it myself, not a minute ago, said Harris. Then they started round the room again, looking for it. And then they met again in the center and stared at one another. Most extraordinary thing I ever heard of, said George. So mysterious, said Harris. Then George got round at the back of Harris and saw it. Why, here it is all the time, he exclaimed, indignantly. Where? Cried Harris, spinning around. Stand still, can't you? Roared George, flying after him, and they got it off and packed it in the teapot. This was what happened when they began to pack the things. Para 12. Montmorency was in it all, of course. Montmorency's ambition in life is to get in the way and be sonnet. If he can squirm in anywhere where he particularly is not wanted, and be a perfect nuisance, and make people mad, and have things thrown at his head, then he feels his day has not been wasted. To get somebody to stumble over him, and curse him steadily for an hour, is his highest aim and object, and when he has succeeded in accomplishing this, his conceit becomes quite unbearable. So this para says that Montmorency, the narrator's pet, came and sat down on things, put his leg into the jam and scattered the teaspoons and disturbed them while they were packing. So para 13 says clearly what he did. He came and sat down on things just then when they were wanted to be packed. And he labored under the fixed belief that whenever Harris or George reached out their hand for anything, it was his cold damn nose that they wanted. He put his leg into the jam, and he worried the teaspoons, and he pretended that the lemons were rats, and got into the hamper and killed 3 of them before Harris could land him with a frying pan. So he went into the hamper, means the basket where food was packed, and attacked 3 lemons, thinking them to be rats. And he was beaten by Harris. Harris said, I encouraged him. I didn't encourage him. A dog like that doesn't want any encouragement. It's the natural, original sin that is born in him that makes him do things like that. So, for the mischief of dog, narrator was blamed. But as for the narrator, he says that a dog like such kind of character did not be encouraged. It is actually, this kind of mischief is inborn in the dog. The packing was finally done at 12:50, and Harris sat on the big hamper and said he hoped nothing would be found broken. George said that if anything was broken, it was broken, with reflection seemed to comfort him. He also said he was ready for bed. We were all ready for bed. Harris was to sleep with us that night, and we went upstairs. We tossed for beds, and Harris had to sleep with me, he said. Do you prefer the inside or the outside, Jerome? I said I generally preferred to sleep inside a bed. Harris said it was odd. George said, what time shall I wake you, fellows? Harris said 7. I said no 6 because I wanted to write some letters. Harris and I had a bit of a row over it, but at last split the difference and said 6:30. "Wake us at 6:30, George," we said. George made no answer, and we found, on going over, that he had been asleep for some time. So we placed the bath where he could tumble into it, and on getting out in the morning, and went to bed ourselves. So finally the packing ended late in the night at 12:50 a.m. The three friends were very tired and decided to sleep. Before sleeping, they had an argument about when to wake up. Finally, it was concluded that they would wake up by 6:30 a.m. and they asked George to wake them up. But George made no answer. When they went close to him, they found that he was already asleep. So what they did, they placed a bathtub near him, near his bed, so that in the morning when he get up, he would tumble on it. This is the story of packing, written by Jerome K. Jerome.